السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله، وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. حياكم الله مساكم الله بخير. And we are here today, جزاكم الله خير, after possibly a month of being away. Alhamdulillah, we make up time for the likes of our scholars and the likes of our mashaykh when they do a dawrah to, somewhat give preference to their teachings, inshallah ta'ala. This is from the adab, from the good mannerisms of, our teachers, and being, ones who are alert and, on job when it comes to seeking knowledge. As you know, طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم. The seeking of knowledge is obligatory upon every Muslim. And there's also a riwayah, طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم ومسلمة. That's da'if. Yeah, it's da'if. So طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم ومسلمة. The part where it says Muslima, as we learned from our teacher Abu Hakim Hafidhullah many years back, that part is da'if. But what is obligatory upon the male is also obligatory upon the female, except by way of nas. So if we have a text saying this is what you ought to do regardless of you being male or female, then هذا يقع على جميع. It falls upon everyone. إلا بالنص الصريح, except by way of explicit text. So for example, the men are to pray in the, if they can get to the front, but they're to pray in the masjid. But the women are being advised of what? Staying at home. وَبُيُوتُهُنَّ خَيْرٌ لَهُنَّ. And their houses for prayer are better for them. So we have a text saying the houses are better for them. But as for the men, then we have been told to pray in the masajid, in the mosques. So that would be a good example, very simple example. Yeah? So talab al-ilm, seeking of knowledge, is, farida, it's an obligation upon every individual. Yeah? So today's event, Mawda al-Rabi', the fourth event. The fourth event. Inshallah ta'ala, we're going to do our best, and some of the things mentioned in it have been mentioned already, but, as they say, a reminder is still a benefit to us, inshallah ta'ala. Yeah? So this event is Qissatu Abi Talib, the story in regards to Abi Talib, or Abu Talib as you know him. Qissatu Abi Talib, فَمَنْ فَهِمَهَا حَسَنًا وَتَأَمَّلْ إِقْرَارُهُ بِالتَّوْحِيدِ. He who understands it in an excellent manner, inshallah, and contemplates his affirmation of Tawheed. There's a very important part here. And effectively, just to concisely put it, Iqrar bit-Tawheed is not enough to make you Muslim. It's not enough. You have to say the Shahada. Nutq bil-lisan. Nutq bil-lisan is a condition for the Shahada to say it if you are able. And most of us, alhamdulillah, are able. So don't tell me the man said it in his heart. You don't know what's in his heart. Oh, but he nodded his head. How was he when he nodded his head? Could he not speak? Was he on his deathbed? This is different. But generally speaking, as it is for people, if they are to be Muslim, they are to do nutq bil-shahada, or be nutq bil-lisan. Yeah, they have to profess, obviously, the shahada, but it has to come by way of the tongue. Jazakumullah khair. Because i'tiqad, well, in this case, iman is what? What's iman? Qawl bil-lisan, amal bil-jawarih, wa i'tiqad al-qalb. Yeah, so you say something with the tongue, statement of the tongue, yeah, amal bil-jawarih, yes, actions by way of the limbs, and it's a belief of the heart. So he goes on to say, وَحَثَّ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهِ طيب وَتَسْتَفِيهِ أَعْقُولَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. So he's deeming the minds of the pagans to be foolish. Yeah? وَمَحَبَّتُهُ لِمَنْ أَسْلَمَ وَخَلَعَ الشِّرْكِ. So, and his love for those who entered Islam, and likewise those who left off shirk, which is paganism, polytheism. This is talking about Abu Talib now. His love for Islam, and likewise for those who entered it, and also for those that left off shirk, which is paganism. ثم بذل عمره وماله وعشيرته في نصرة رسول الله إلى أن أمات. Moreover, he exerted his life, wealth, children, and family in support of the Messenger, alayhi salatu wassalam, until he died. His whole life was just in support of the Messenger, alayhi salatu wassalam. Abu Talib, Amr Rasul. Abu Talib was the uncle of the Messenger, alayhi salatu wassalam. لما توفي والد الرسول عبد الله ابن عبد المطلب والرسول حمل في بطنه أمه. So Abu Talib was the paternal uncle of the Messenger when the father of the Messenger was in the womb of his mother. ثم لما ولد صلى الله عليه وسلم كفله جده عبد المطلب. So his grandfather Abdul Muttalib, cared for him when he was born. His grandfather Abdul Muttalib cared for him when he was born. And we always mention shirk. When was its first manifestation upon the earth? The first manifestation of shirk upon the earth. The time of Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam. It was to a person called Wad. Yeah? لأنه أصبح يتيما فكفله جده عبد المطلب. So the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet, he became an orphan, yeah, and Abdul Muttalib, his grandfather, cared for him when he was young. ثم لما حضرت عبد المطلب الوفاة أوصى به إلى ابنه أبي طالب. So when Abdul Muttalib died, the Prophet was left in the care of his son Abu Talib. وأبو طالب قام بالواجب وحضن النبي رباه وأكرمه. So Abu Talib upheld the wajib, took care of him as an obligation, and cultivated him and honored him. ثم لما بعثه الله رسولا إلى العالمين. So when Allah dispatched the Prophet as a Rasul, as a messenger to the whole of mankind, قام معه يحميه ويدافع عنه. So he stood, protected, and defended him. ولقي الأذى من قريش في سبيل الحماية الدعوة الرسول والدفاع عنه. And along the way, the Quraysh confronted the likes of the Rasul and his uncle with attacks. But him, Abu Talib being his uncle, he defended him and cared for him in the path of da'wah, in the path of, the proclamation of La ilaha illallah. وعرض نفسه للخطر والحجاعة. And likewise, he made himself exposed to danger and, I believe, starvation. Yes. So he exposed himself to harm, danger, and starvation. حتى إنهم حاصروهم في الشعب. Up until they happened to be boycotted in a valley or in a mountain pass, the Shi'b. سنين وقاطعوهم وقاطعوا عنهم المؤذن. And likewise, to the point they were boycotted in a valley for years and prevented, i.e. the Quraysh, they did this, they prevented, goods and sales of any sort from merchandise coming to them, yeah, in a valley. And as I mentioned, I'm not too sure if I mentioned this some time ago, at the time of the scribe of the Ummah, Ibn Abbas, anhu, yes, whom the Prophet ﷺ made a dua for. Allahumma faqihu fi ad-din wa 'allimhu at-ta'wil. Allahumma faqihu fi ad-din وَعَلِّمْهُ التَّأْوِيلَ. Oh Allah, give him understanding of the religion and the correct interpretation of the Quran. Yeah? So some of the things in which we've come across so far, we'll mention this quite briefly. This is not found, but it's additional notes, yeah? كَفَالَةُ جَدِّهِ عَبْدُ الْمُطَّلِبِ. So the care of his grandfather Abdul Muttalib, yeah? we mentioned that توفي عبد المطلب لما بلغ الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام 8 سنوات. So the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, when he reached 8 سنوات, his grandfather effectively passed away, Abdul Muttalib. كفالة عمه أبي طالب وأهم أعماله. And likewise the care that his uncle somewhat did for him and his actions. كفل أبو طالب رسول الله بعد وفاة جده عبد المطلب. You mentioned this. So some of the things in which the Prophet ﷺ witnessed before Nabuwah, they were شهد رسول الله حرب الفجار, also known as, to some, حرب الفجار. We haven't mentioned this before. So the Prophet ﷺ before Nabuwah, before he received Wahi, he witnessed the Harb al-Fijar, which is a series of wars that took place amongst the Arab tribes at his time. He witnessed this, meaning a series of battles that took place in the late 6th century, mainly between two major tribes or two tribal confederations, yes? Hawazin and the Quraysh. And he was Ashuru Sinin when that took place. He was Ashuru Sinin, so he saw certain things when he was growing up. Also, Shahida Rasulullah Hilf al-Fudul. Hilf al-Fudul was the alliance, the confederacy, yes? And it was brought about to establish justice for all the individuals that needed justice at the time through collective action, especially for those who were not under protection from any clan. He witnessed certain things. And then خرج رسول الله في تجارة خديجة مع غلامها مسيرة. So likewise he met Khadija throughout the time in which any trade was taking place with the likes of ourselves. And then زواج الرسول. These are some of the things we've come across so far. To Khadija, the messenger married Khadija, and from her he had sons and likewise daughters. Who was the first one? Al-Qasim, well done. That's why there was a qawl that at the time of the messenger no one was allowed to be called Abu Qasim except the messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. There was ijma' on that, I believe, yeah? No one was allowed to be called Abu Qasim except the messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. And then after they started differing. Yeah? So we have Qasim, then we have Zaynab, we have Ruqayya, Kulthum, Fatima, and Abdullah. Yulaqab Abdullah ibn Nabi bit-Tayyib wa-Tahir. So likewise Abdullah, his nickname was At-Tayyib wa-Tahir. Yeah? لأنه ولد بعد البعثة, because he was born after the Bi'thah, after the Prophet was dispatched. Yes? And likewise, نزول الوحي على الرسول وهو في غار حراء. Yeah? So when the wahi, the revelation came down, he was in where? Mount Hira. Yeah? And we mentioned the masala, is it from the Sunnah to go back to Mount Hira where the messenger received revelation? Is that from the Sunnah? No. Not one Sahabi was narrated to have gone there. Yeah? Not one Sahabi. So when people do Umrah, they say, let's go back to, Mount Hira. This is not from the Sunnah. We don't even have a da'if hadith, let alone, a qawl. Yeah? وقال إمام نووي أول ما نزل من القرآن اقرأ. So the first thing to descend from the Quran was اقرأ بسم ربك الذي خلق. وهذا هو الصواب الذي عليه الجماهير من السلف والخلف. So this is what they all agree with the jamahir from all of the different madahib and all the different schools of thoughts. والخلف, and even the people that oppose. Yeah? انقطع الوحي عن رسول الله بعد نزول أول آيات من سورة العلق أياما. So after the 5 verses were revealed from Surah Al-Alaq, انقطع الوحي for some time. So the revelation was cut off for some time, yeah, for some days. ثم نزل الوحي بعد ذلك بسورة المدثر. Yeah, يا أيها المدثر. Yeah, do you remember this? We went through it as well. And then the da'wah at that point in time was sirriya. The da'wah of the Prophet ﷺ was secret or done in secrecy. Yeah. بدأ رسول الله يدعو سرا. So the Prophet ﷺ, he started calling to Islam in secrecy. فأسلم أهل بيته زوجته خديجة. So his household accepted Islam, Khadija. And likewise, Ali ibn Abi Talib from the children, from the Sibyan. And then we have Zayd ibn Harith. Yeah? And he is commonly regarded, Zayd ibn Haritha al-Kalbi, as the fourth person to have accepted Islam. And then, ثم خرج رسول الله يدعو سرا من يثق به من خارج بيته فأسلم أبو بكر الصديق. So Abu Bakr also accepted Islam. He was one of the first from the men, hence the word. His name was Abu Bakr, from Bakara, yubakiru. Bakara in Arabic means to come early. Yeah? Yeah, mashallah, أنت مبكر إلى درس اليوم. So if I said to someone, you're مبكر إلى درس اليوم, it means you are one who is early to the lesson today. So that happens to be why his name was Bakr, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, because he was from the first or those early to enter into Islam, from the men. جزاكم الله خير. فبدأ الناس يتسامعون بدعوة النبي فصار الفقراء إلى دخول في الإسلام. So the people began to hear bits and pieces of the religion, i.e. of the da'wah, فصار الفقراء. So likewise, the poor, they hasten towards Islam, entering it. كان رسول الله يأمر أصحابه بالالتزام الحيطة والحذر والتخفي وعدم الإعلان عن الإسلام إلى أن يقضي الله أمره. So basically here, the Prophet ﷺ commanded with iltizam, but to observe Islam cautiously and in secret and subtly. وعدم الإعلان, and likewise to not really proclaim your Islam openly, obviously because of the harm that may come along the way. And this is also very important to fathom, because when certain people embrace Islam, it's not a condition for them to tell everybody, especially if you live in an area that is, you know, for example, you're English and you live in a very far right sort of area or location. It may not be the best thing to do to tell everyone you're Muslim, knowing that they believe the Muslims are the people that are going to mess up their country. Yeah, or in a given aspect, if you happen to be from an area that's very hostile towards Muslims and there's a lot of doubts, it may not be the most smartest thing or wisest thing to do, to walk around in like a big bisht and a white phobe and, you know, effectively look a certain way. It may cause some harm. Yeah, so you have to have wisdom, ikhwan. Yeah, I've heard of a few people doing things, and it may not be wise to do such things. Yes, there is, alhamdulillah, law in this country, but, you know, as Abdurrahman al-Sa'idi said when it comes to being wise, فِعْلُ مَا يَنْبَغِي كَمَا يَنْبَغِي فِي الْوَقْتِ الَّذِي يَنْبَغِي. To do what should be done as it should be done in the correct time it should be done. If you live in a certain place and you know there's hostility, just wear normal clothes that fit in with the culture of the people, that fit in with the aada of the people. When you come to the masjid, then put your thobe on. Yeah? So, mashallah, brothers might live in a certain area where they can practice Islam, but you come from an area where you can't necessarily practice Islam. You know, put your thobe on or put what you need to put on when you, reach that area which is safe, inshaAllah, or the masjid. Jazakumullah khair. So the aqsam al-da'wah fi hayat al-rasul, the types of da'wah at the time of the messenger. We have al-da'wah sirriya, or in this case, al-fatratul makkiyah, the period of time which relates to Mecca. So tanqasim ila sirriya wa jahriya. So the da'wah, it splits up into sirriya wa jahriya. Sirriya meaning the time in which it was kept in secrecy. Jahriya meaning the time in which it was made apparent and manifest. الدعوة السرية بدأ رسول الله يدعو سرا فأسلم أهل بيته. I mentioned this actually. And then towards the end, فكانوا إذا أرادوا الصلاة خرجوا إلى الشعاب. So when the Sahaba, they wanted to establish the prayer, they went to the mountain path. They never used to establish it out in the open. They used to go into the mountain path. You can see once again the hikmah behind that, because they didn't want to receive any darar, any sort of harm or any sort of other, because they are weak in number. You know, some people say, yes, Allah's with us, let's go out and pray out in the open. And then, you know, you're confronted by, some undesirable individuals. You know, you have to be smart if you live in an area that effectively is, against and hostile towards Islam. Yeah? Especially if you look a certain way. You know, if you look foreign, you need to be careful. They're going to come for you anyway, isn't it? So don't give them an extra excuse to come for you when you put in your white thobe. Yeah, mashallah. Yeah. As they say, sharrul baliya ma yudhik. You know, sometimes the most serious affairs is that which makes one somewhat laugh, because it goes to show you just need a bit of common sense in your life. You know, you sometimes just don't ask for it if you know you're in a time in which your community is weak. Yeah? جزاكم الله خير. So اتخذ رسول الله دار الأرقم ابن أبي أرقم ليجتمع بالمسلمين وتكون مركزا للدعوة إلى الله. So basically, there was a place called Dar al-Arqam, which the Muslims used to gather in the very first part of Islam. And it was a markaz, like a place of ta'aleem, a place of learning, للدعوة إلى الله, in order to call to Allah. مرت 3 سنوات على الدعوة السرية. So 3 years passed in regards to the da'wah sirriya. فأسلم عدد قليل من الأوائل من الصحابة الكرام. So a very small amount of people accepted Islam in the very beginning part of this proclamation of La ilaha illallah from the noble, honorable Sahaba. And likewise, as-sad'u bid-da'wah. Then after, the messenger was told to boldly proclaim the message. بعد ذلك نزل على رسول الله قوله تعالى فاصدع بما تؤمر وأعرض عن المشركين. Yes, فاصدع بما تؤمر وأعرض عن المشركين. Boldly proclaim that which you have been commanded. Now it's a command from Allah Jalla wa Ala that the messenger must boldly proclaim out in the open, make manifest the religion. وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ, and withdraw, turn away from the polytheists and idolaters. Yeah? وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. So likewise, when it comes to da'wah, we draw away from the polytheists and the idolaters. We don't say, oh, let's just hold hands together and be one great ummah. These people, they are going to the graves asking for the help of the so-called quote-unquote awliya, and you want to join hands with them. They have contradicted La ilaha illallah. And you're telling me, let's come together for a greater good. These people are upon the worst form of evil, which is shirk. Yeah? And you're telling the people to come together upon a greater good. This is the principles of Ikhwan Muslimin. Let's come together upon that which we agree upon and leave off that which we disagree in. And you're telling us, you know Salafi are better than us? And you people are driving us mad. Why are you telling us about this guy is not Salafi and this guy is not Salafi? Now you see, you see the thamarat of his da'wah. You see the fruits of his da'wah. What next? A Rafidi. You see? Next thing you know, be shaking hands with Rafida, saying, no, we're going to come together for a greater good. You don't understand, Rafida, greater good to them is killing DAARUSSUNNAH. You know, a lot of brothers, I remember, subhanAllah, when I first went Jama'a Islamiyya, I was just sitting in the haram. And I met some, elderly men. And this was when, Daesh were quite prominent, like 2012. And I was like, I couldn't make out what these guys, in terms of their appearance were from. And then I asked them, they were from Iraq. I was like, subhanAllah, كيف كانت الرحلة من العراق إلى السعودية? He said it was مشقة. He said it was hard. وكيف حالكم في Iraq? He said it's hard. I said, why? He said, Daesh, al-Khawarij. And you could just see on their clothes, from travel, how harsh it's been upon them in terms of just getting around town. And no doubt, I asked him about what's the hal in terms of, the Shia and the Rawaf. He said, likewise, it's hard. Because they kill us. And you want to join hands with these people? Go ask the people that have lived under their authority. I'm not saying every single one of them is, as we know them to be, but when they get authority over Ahlul Sunnah, they come for you and they will kill you, unfortunately. Unalive you, as they say. So, you want to join hands with these people? You want to join hands with these people? They fight us because of Aqidah. They fight us because of our creed and our belief. And you think you know better? You come out holding hands with an Ash'ari or come out holding hands with, I don't know, a Maturidiyya or Maturidi. This makes no sense. This is not what the books of the Salaf taught. Jazakumullah khair. So, and this actually reminds me of a poem, as Ibn Qayyim mentioned in his Nuniyah. So Ahlul Sunnah, we boldly proclaim, what the Sunnah is indicative of. Fasta afwan. فاصدع بما تؤمر وأعرض عن المشركين. You know, boldly proclaim what you've been commanded. وأعرض عن المشركين. Yeah. As Allah said, boldly proclaim what you have been commanded and withdraw from the idolaters. And likewise, we have this lines of abiyat, lines of poetry from Nuniyah, where he says, وَاسْتَعْ بِمَا قَالَ الرَّسُولُ وَلَا تَخَفْ مِنْ قِلَّةِ الْأَنصَارِ وَالْأَعْوَانِ. Yeah? وَاللَّهُ نَاصِرُ دِينِهِ وَكِتَابِهِ وَاللَّهُ كَافٍ عَبْدُهُ بِأَمَانِ لا تخشى من كيد العدو ومكرهم فقتالهم بالكذب والبهتان. So what does that mean? فاصدع بما قال الرسول. Boldly proclaim what the messenger said. ولا تخف من قلة الأنصار والأعوان. And do not be scarce or fearful due to the small or few amount of supporters and aiders you may have. Yeah, do not be, scared due to the small amount of aiders and supporters you may have. Yeah. Wallahu nasiru dinihi wa kitabihi. Allah is the aider of his book, i.e. his religion. Wallahu kafin abaduhu bi amani. Allah is sufficient as a protector for his servant, his abd. فقتالهم عفوا لا تخشى من كيد العدو ومكرهم فقتالهم بالكذب والبهتان. And do not fear from the plotting and the conspiring of the enemy. فَقِتَالُهُمْ بِالْكَذِبِ وَالْبُهْتَانِ. For verily, they fight you by way of kadhib wal-buhtan, lies and slander. Oh, you guys are so harsh. Oh, you guys are this, or you guys are that. Tell us something new. You're a Zionist. Ah, mashallah. Yes. But yet we're there every Sunday refuting Zionism, confronting them physically in the presence. You know what I mean? So this is just kadhib. And this is how they fight you. But jazakumullah khair, back to the actual text. And the only reason why I mention these things is because you can see the Messenger ﷺ in the very first part of his da'wah, a lot of these lies and forms of slander he was confronted with. Yeah? And this is what Ahlul Sunnah will go through. You will go through a period where nobody likes you at times. You're the strangers, you're the ghuraba. Yeah? You're the ghuraba in a given sense. Inshallah, we're from them. But the reality being, who are the ghuraba? They're the people that rectify that which those who came before them corrupted. So you have to rectify the manhaj of the people, the i'tiqad of the people. This is our job. We're not here to please people. You know, I remember, I think it was Sheikh Abdul Bukhari, hafidhullah ta'ala, he mentioned, and it's known from the Salaf, رضاء الناس شيء لا يدرك. Yani, gaining the satisfaction of the people is something that doesn't really come about all the time. If it comes, alhamdulillah, but it's not something you necessarily will ascertain quickly. If you say, oh, everybody's going paradise, trust me, you'll be the people's person of the year. But you have to make tamyiz in your da'wah. You want to hold hands with the Jews and the Christians and call them, they're the true followers of Musa. Yeah, trust me, you'll be the people's person of the year. But that's not the da'wah of the Anbiya or Rusul. Yeah? وَقَطَعُوا عَنْهُمَ الْإِتِّصَالِ. So likewise, the Quraysh, they cut communications off with the Sahaba. Yeah? You couldn't marry from them and likewise marry from them and allow merchandise to come their way. وَمَعَهُمْ Abu Talib وَصَبْرَ عَلَى هَذَا. And Abu Talib, he was patient upon this. Yeah? وَكَانَ يَمْدَحْ دِينَ الرَّسُولِ وَيَقُولُ. So likewise, he used to actually praise the religion of the Messenger والسلام. وَيَقُولُ وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْتُ بِأَنَّ دِينَ مُحَمَّدٍ مِنْ خَيْرِ أَدْيَانِ الْبَرِيَّةِ دِينًا لَوْلَا الْمَلَامَةَ أَوْ حَرَامَ سَبَّبَهُ رَأَيْتَنِي سَمْحًا بِذَاكَ مُبِينًا. This is what he said. Yeah, I know that the religion of Muhammad is from the best religions of the people. Were it not for the blame of the people or fear of revilement, you would have seen me openly accepting that. See? I know that the religion of Muhammad is the best of religions, he said, i.e. for the people. Were it not for the blame of the people or fear of revilement, you would have seen me openly accepting that. So he blatantly says in the poem or lines of poetry here, I would have accepted it if it wasn't for the revilement. Yeah? وفي لاميته المشهورة الطويلة التي أوردها ابن كثير في البداية والنهاية اعترف بأن محمد رسول الله. So likewise in his long well-known poem Lamiyah, I believe it is, I'm not too sure if I'm saying it right. He acknowledged that Muhammad was a Rasul. He acknowledged it. Yeah? وأنه صادق في رسالته, and he was truthful in his message. وأنه لم يمنعه من اتباعه إلا خشية مسبة دين آباء الذين كانوا على عبادة الأصنام. And nothing prevented him from following the Prophet except fear of the critiquing of the religion of his forefathers, or criticizing the religion of his forefathers who were upon the worship of idols. فأخذته الحمية الجاهلية في امتناعه من اتباع محمد. So likewise, pre-Islamic sort of pride overtook him, preventing him from following Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. لئلا يجر على أشياخه المسببة, so that he would not have to revile his elders, لما حضرته الوفاة جاءه النبي. So likewise, when death came upon him, the Prophet approached him. وعنده أبو جهل وعنده آخر من بني مخزوم, and likewise Abu Jahl, another man from Bani Makhzum, were with him. قال له يا عم قل لا إله إلا الله. He said to him, the messenger, "Oh uncle, say لا إله إلا الله." Yeah? كلمة أحاج لك بها عند الله, a word in which I will vouch for you in front of Allah with. If you say لا إله إلا الله, I will vouch for you in regards to my standing with Allah. That's if you say it. فقال له أبو جهل ومن معه أتترك دين عبد المطلب. So Abu Jahl, he said, are you going to leave, i.e. the religion of your forefathers, the religion of your grandfather, Abdul Muttalib? You're going to leave it? أتترك? Look at the shaitan here. Subhanallah. فعاد عليه الرسول فعاد أتترك دين عبد المطلب. So the messenger once again returned back. And then Abdul Muttalib said, أتترك دين Abdul Muttalib, you're going to leave off the religion of Abdul Muttalib. ثم آخر ما قال هو على ملة عبد المطلب ومات على ذلك. And likewise, he said he's upon the religion of Abdul Muttalib, and he died upon that. صلى الله عليه وسلم والعافية. فقال النبي لأستغفرن لك ما لم أنهي عنك, and I will not cease to seek forgiveness for you as long as I'm not prevented from doing that. فأنزل الله تعالى ما كان للنبي والذين آمنوا أن يستغفروا للمشركين ولو كان أولي قربى من بعد ما تبين لهم أنهم أصحاب الجحيم. So Allah, He revealed the verse after it has become clear to them that they are the dwellers of the fire. Yeah? It's not appropriate for the Prophet to, i.e. and those who believe, to seek forgiveness for the polytheists, the idolaters. ولو كانوا أولي قربى, even if they be, close in, kin or next of kin. Yeah? من بعد ما تبين لهم أنهم أصحاب الجحيم. After it has been made clear to them, they are the dwellers of the fire. نسأل الله السلامة والعافية. وأنزل الله في أبي طالب, and likewise Allah sent in regards to Abu Talib, إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. You do not guide, it is Allah that guides. You do not guide whom you wish to guide. Verily, it's Allah that guides. Yeah? And Allah is most knowing of who is guided. Allah is most knowing of whom is guided. فدل هذا على مدح الإسلام ومدح الرسول واعتقاد أن الإسلام حق وأن الرسول حق من غير اتباع للرسول. So basically, فهذا دل على أن مدح الإسلام. This alludes to the fact that if you just happen to praise Islam ومدح الرسول and praise the messenger واعتقاد أن الإسلام حق, and you believe Islam is true وأن الرسول حق, and that the messenger is true, من غير اتباع للرسول, but you do not follow the Rasul, أن ذلك لا ينفع, and this will not benefit if you do not follow him. You may believe it, but you do not follow him. وأنه لا بد من اتباع الرسول لأن هذا لو كان ينفع لنفع أبا طالب. So it's a must that you follow the messenger. لأن هذا لو كان ينفع, if this was something that actually benefited, meaning iqrar, just to acknowledge he is a messenger, then it would have benefited whom? It would have benefited Abu Talib. Yeah? فإن الإقرار بالإسلام حق وأن الرسول صادق. So if you were just to say and acknowledge that Islam is true and that the messenger is true and he's truthful in his speech and what he conveys, مع المدافعة عن الإسلام وحماية عن الإسلام, and likewise you defend Islam and likewise protect Islam, كل هذا لا ينفع إلا مع الاتباع. None of this will actually benefit up until you follow the teachings of the messenger, meaning in belief. And from the teachings of the messenger is the shahada, which is found where? Is it found in the Quran? No, the shahada is found in the Sunnah. Yeah, the shahada is found in the Sunnah. Yeah, bunya al-Islam ala khams. Islam is built upon 5 things. And tashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. So you testify none has the right to be worshipped except Allah. You testify none has the right to be worshipped except Allah, and that Prophet Muhammad is the final and last servant of Allah Jalla wa Ala. Yeah? And then he mentions وإلا في النبي وإلا في النبي إن الله لا يؤيد نعم إن الله لا يؤيد إن الله يؤيد هذا الدين بالرجل الفاجر. إن الله يؤيد هذا الدين بالرجل الفاجر. Verily Allah, He will aid this religion by رجل فاجر, by evil, or in this case a rebellious person or wicked man. Yeah? فلا بد من الاتباع فلا تنفع المعاونة. So it's a must that one follows. فلا تنفع المعاونة. So likewise supporting the messenger, if you don't believe in him, yeah, it will not benefit you in the afterlife. والمدح, and likewise praising it. والحماية عن الإسلام, and likewise protecting Islam. وغير ذلك, and anything other than that, it will not benefit you in the afterlife. ولا القرابة من الرسول بدون اتباع له. And even if you have a relationship with the Rasul, بدون اتباع له, this won't benefit you. So if you don't follow, it won't benefit. فهذا عم الرسول لما مات على كفر. This is the uncle of the messenger. When he died upon disbelief, لم ينفعه الرسول بإخراجه من النار رغم المحاولة. So, likewise, the messenger, in theory, he won't actually benefit the uncle in getting him out of the fire, regardless of him trying. Yeah? Yes, there will be takhfif al-adab, but he will not be able to take him out the fire. وَمَنَعْهُ اللَّهُ عَنْ إِسْتِغْفَارِ لَهُ. And Allah prevented istighfar, seeking forgiveness for the likes of his uncle. وَقَالَ إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. Verily, you do not guide whom you love. وقال ما كان للنبي والذين آمنوا أن يستغفروا للمشركين ولو كانوا أولي قربى من بعد ما تبين لهم أنهم أصحاب الجحيم. So it's not appropriate for the people who believe, and likewise the messenger, to seek forgiveness for the idolaters, the polytheists, even if they be close within family relations. من بعد ما تبين لهم أنهم أصحاب الجحيم. After it's been made clear these people are the dwellers of the fire. قال عذابي أصيب به من يشاء. It is said, as to my punishment, I afflict whomever I will. Yeah? ورحمتي وسعت كل شيء فسأكتبها للذين يتقون. عليكم السلام. And my mercy embraces all things, and I shall ordain it for those who are pious. جزاكم الله خير. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن أشهد أن محمد رسول الله.
حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الفلاح
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الفلاح
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر
الله أكبر الله أكبر.
لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله محمد هذه دعوة الصلاة. So we mentioned, Ikhwan, that if a person acknowledges Islam, says it's true, and likewise defends it, is he a Muslim? No. Up until he makes nutq shahada, he openly declares the testimony of faith. Yeah? Jazakumullah khair. This was the condition to being a Muslim. Yeah? And he mentions in regards to the ayah, وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةِ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِآيَاتِنَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. And he gives zakat, charity, the alms. Yes? And they are from those that believe in our verses. وَالَّذِينَ يَتَّبِعُونَ الرَّسُولَ النَّبِيَّ الْأُمِّيِّ الَّذِي يَجِدُونَهُ مَكْتُوبًا عِنْدَهُمْ فِي التَّوْرَاةِ وَالْإِنْجِيلِ. Clearly, listen to this point now, Ikhwan. Those who follow the messenger, the prophet, who can neither read or write, whom they find written within their own books, the Torah and the Injil. This is the example of ittiba', likewise mentioned in the Quran and also mentioned in the previous scriptures. Ittiba' was a condition for accepting the messenger because it was used here. يَأْمُرُهُمْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَاهُمْ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. So likewise, you see here, he commands them with ma'ruf, to do goodness. وَيَنْهَاهُمْ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, and prohibits them from doing evil. وَيُحِلُّ لَهُمُ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَيُحَرِّمُ لَهُمْ وَيُحَرِّمْ عَلَيْهِمُ الْخَبَائِثِ. And he makes permissible for them that which is good, the طيبات. And likewise tells them to abstain from the haram, the impermissible things. Yeah? وَيَضَعْ عَنْهُمْ إِسْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَاظَ الَّتِي كَانَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ. So he releases from them the heavy burdens, from the bindings or the fetters that were upon them. فَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِهِ وَعَزُّرُوهُ وَنَصُرُوهُ. So those who believe in him and honor him, yes, and help him. وَاتَّبِعُوا النُّورَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ مَعَهُ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And they follow the nur, the light, that which he's been sent with. They are the successful ones. هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. لم يكتفي بقول آمنوا به وأزروه ونصروه. It wasn't enough, it wasn't sufficient that they just believe, help him and honor him. This is the key point here. بل قال واتبعوا النور الذي أنزل معه. And they follow the light, the guidance that has been sent with him. Always ittiba' as a condition. Likewise, ittiba' as a condition for any type of action to be accepted. Don't tell me he's so sincere and so, honest in that. You have to do ittiba', yeah, for all actions to be accepted. The amal likewise has to be done with ikhlas and followed up with ittiba', which is muwafaqa ma'a sunnah. Has to likewise agree with the sunnah. أولئك هم المفلحون. They are the successful ones. فهذا يدل على أن مدح الإسلام والثناء على الإسلام والمسلمين وأنهم على حق وأن الكفار على باطل وأن الشرك باطل. كل هذا لا يكفي وأنه لا بد من الاتباع. So basically, as we mentioned, praising Islam, defending Islam, yani commending it, and likewise even commending the Muslims. Even saying what they're upon is truth. And even saying that the kuffar are upon falsehood. وَأَنَّ الشِّرْكِ باطل. And even if you say polytheism is باطل. كُلَّ هَذَا لَا يَكْفِي. None of this will be sufficient. وَأَنَّهُ لَا بُدَّ مِنْ اتِّبَاعٍ. It's a must that you have ittiba', following up that truth with saying it and carrying it out. Yeah? And then he goes on to say, فَمَنْ كَانَ يُمْدِحْ الْإِسْلَامُ وَيُثْنِي عَلَيْهِ. So whosoever praises Islam, yeah, whosoever praises Islam, commends it, and displays respect for it, but does not abandon shirk. بَلْ يَدْعُ غَيْرُ اللَّهِ. Even if he calls upon other than Allah. يدعو الأصنام والأضرحة والقبور فإن هذه الأمور لا تنفعه وتفيده شيئا. So if he calls upon the أضرحة, the shrines and the qubur, the graves, and the asnam and the idols. We're going to take about 5 or 10 minutes, inshallah, before we pray Isha, inshallah. Even if he does all of this, it will not benefit him. Yeah? ولو كانت تنفع, even if it وتفيده الآفات. طيب. So if they were beneficial or useful, any of these things, then they would have benefited Abu Talib, the paternal uncle of the Messenger. And the issue at hand is subtle, and attention must be paid to it. Yeah? ثم صبره على المشقة العظيمة والعداوة المبالغة. So likewise, his patience in enduring tremendous hardship and extreme enmity, from the Quraysh. Now, like we mentioned, they boycotted them from what, Ikhwan? Who remembers? What did the Quraysh boycott the Sahaba for? Marriage, and likewise merchandise and trade. So it was a hard time for them. They went through mashaqqa wal adha, hardship and different types of harm in that regard. لكن لما لم يدخل فيه. طيب, so he did not free himself of his original religion. Abu Talib, he never freed himself of his original religion. And he did not become Muslim. He did not become Muslim. مع أنه يعتذر عن ذلك أن فيه مسبب لأبيه عبد المطلب وحاشم وغيرهما من أشياخه. Although he gave the excuse that in it he lied, belittlement of his father. So one of his reasons was that it's belittlement of the religion of my forefathers. That's why he didn't accept al-Islam. And likewise, belittlement of the elders that preceded him beforehand. Yeah? هذا الذي منعه وهو النخوة العصبية الجاهلية. And this is the very thing which prevented him from accepting Islam, was nationalism, tribalism. Yeah? That which of pre-Islamic days many of the Arab were upon. ومنعته من دخول في الإسلام ومات على الكفر. And this عصبية, this tribalism, it prevented him, because he held on to it, with such, vehemency and what have you, that he didn't enter into Islam. مع ما له من المواقف العظيمة في نصرة الحق والدفاع عنه. Despite what he had from tremendous positions in regards to facing hardship in helping Islam or in defense of the truth. ومع ذلك لما لم يتبع الرسول لم تنفعه هذه الأمور. So, despite the fact that he never, followed the Messenger ﷺ, these affairs will not benefit him. إلا ما صح عنه خفف عنه من عذاب النار, except for that which has been authentically narrated, that his punishment will be lessened. Yeah. حيث أصبح في ضحضاح من النار بسبب شفاعة النبي له. So he will be in the Abu Talib, that is the shallow parts of the fire, due to the shafa'ah of the Messenger ﷺ, the intercession of the Messenger ﷺ. And as it mentions in the hadith, في أخمص قدميه جمرتان من نار يغلي منهما دماغه. Yes, so in the arch of his 2 feet there will be embers of fire causing his brain to boil. السلام والعافية. ما يرى أن أحد من النار أشد منه عذابا وأنه لأهونهم عذابا. So basically that means he will not believe that anyone in the fire is being punished as severely as him, even though he will have the lightest punishment in the fire. Yeah? So he will have the lightest punishment in the fire, but he will believe he will effectively be having the heftiest, severest punishment. Salam to Allah. لم ينفعه ذلك في إخراجه من النار. None of this will benefit him from being taken out of the fire. فلا يتعارض هذا مع قوله تعالى عن الكفار فما تنفعهم شفاعة الشافعين. So no intercession of the intercessors will be of any use to them. Yeah? إنما نفعه في التخفيف عنه من العذاب فقط. So his benefit is only lightening the punishment. That is it. He still remains in the fire. ثم منع قرابته ونصرته استغفر له رسول الله فأنزل الله عليه ما كان للنبي والذين آمنوا يستغفروا للمشركين ولو كان أولي قربى من بعد ما تبين لهم أنهم أصحاب الجحيم. As we mentioned in the verse, it is not proper for the Prophet ﷺ and those who believe that they seek forgiveness for the idolaters, even if they be close within relation from family, after it's been made clear to them that these are the people, i.e. these individuals here are dwellers of the fire. Yes. So نستفيد من هذا أنه لا يكفي الإقرار بأن benefit a person to say Islam is true. This will not make him a Muslim, just saying Islam is true. He has to make nutq بالشهادة. He has to profess the shahada, the testimony of faith upon his tongue. Yes. ولا يكفي المدافع عن الإسلام. And likewise, it doesn't suffice that a person defends Islam. Once again, ولا يكفي ذم الشرك. And even if he belittles and criticizes shirk, this will not benefit him. والمشركين and the idolaters. كل هذا لا يكفي إلا باتباع الرسول. None of this will benefit except in following the Messenger عليه الصلاة والسلام. فمن لم يتبع الرسول فإن هذه الأمور لا تنفعه. Whosoever doesn't follow the Messenger, none of these affairs, in theory or in actuality, should I say, will ever benefit him. والذي يبين هذا, and that which benefits and makes clear this very affair, أنه إذا عرف الرجل من أهل بصرة. So that which will make this clear is that if a man from the people of Basra, al-Ahsa, was known for love of the religion and loving the Muslims, ظن أكثر الناس أنه من المسلمين مع أنه لم. So he goes and says most of the people believe in him and to be from the Muslims, even though he never supported Islam with his hand nor his wealth, nor did he have the excuse. This is in regards to Abu Talib. Yeah, Abu Talib. فمن فهم قصة أبي طالب وفهم الواقع من أكثر من يدعي الدين. So he who understands the story of Abu Talib and understands the reality of most of those who claim the religion, يبين له الهدى من الضلال. Yes. وعرف سوء الأفهام والله مستعان. So guidance will become clear and distinct to him from dalal. Yes. And he will know the poor understanding which many people unfortunately have ascertained. And we'll end it there, Jazakumullah khair. I think next week, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, we'll carry on with just maybe 4 pages. And نكتفي بهذا القدر. جزاكم الله خير وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.